Okay, so American Horror Story episode 4 and 5. I watched them quite a while back. I think I watched... So last Monday I watched episode 4, and then, well, the latest Monday, I watched episode 5. And now it's Friday now, so it's been about 5 days since I watched episode 5. And then episode 4 has been about 12 days ago. So episode 4 isn't in my memory as much, if you know what I mean. It's not as fresh in my memory. Episode 5, I remember a little bit more about that, but this review might be a bit lackluster, or at least for episode 4, because I can't remember much about it since it's been a while, and I've only just now gone around to doing this review, so, you know, I might not be saying much about episode 4. Anyway, let's go on with the review. Not much to say about episode 4, great episode though. The moment with the little girl with Down syndrome, her name Aggie, I think. Addie, I think it's Addie actually. But yeah, that character, that episode kind of made, for example, for what her mother did in the last episode, she seems kind of abusive, after episode 3, because, or it might be in episode 2, I can't remember, but when she locks her daughter in the room filled with mirrors, as a punishment. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people hate the mother for doing that. I think her name is Constance. I'm starting to remember the names now of the characters. But this episode was good in the fact that it kind of humanised the character a lot more. So we did get some generally, you know, touching moments between Aggie, or Addie, whatever her name is, and her mother. So the episode did great in that. Like, I felt sympathy for Aggie or Addie and Constance in that episode. And of course there's a big moment involving the two characters in the episode. If you've seen the episode, you know what I'm talking about, but of course, spoilers. Yeah, that moment was... that really shocked me. I wasn't expecting it. Like, as the scene where the big moment happens went on, I kind of expected it to happen and realised where they were going with it. But still, I was really shocked when it actually happened. Can't say it because of spoilers, of course. I'll say at the end. But yeah, what happened between Addie and the Constance characters, that was really, really depressing. I genuinely felt sorry for the characters there. So they did a good job of humanising the characters. Or, well, making you feel sympathy for them, of course. Okay, so next one. Oh yeah, Larry was great as always, my favourite character. He's probably my favourite character, followed by Tatum. If I remember right, this is the episode where Ben kind of broke down and started crying when he's talking to Tatum outside about his backstory and stuff. Because we learn a bit more about him, and then he breaks down and crying. That was kind of good. That was kind of a good scene. The actor who plays Ben does a good job. Of course, all the actors in this TV series do great jobs. I can't really think of any moment in particular where there's some bad acting. They always do good acting as always. A piece of paper with some points on it. Again, I haven't seen the episode for a while. It was either episode 3 or 4. I'm pretty sure it was episode 4. But they introduced another two new ghosts, which were the two gay guys. I don't know their names, but they were fun too. They're fun characters. Yeah, this is episode 4. It's not too fresh in my memory. I'm trying to remember. But those two ghosts are pretty cool. They're fun. And that's pretty much all I have to say about episode 4, to be honest. It's not that fresh in my mind, like I said, so I can't remember much about it. One last thing to talk about, the ending of it was great. It ends on a pretty cool cliffhanger. But obviously I've seen episode 6, so I know the resolution to the cliffhanger. At the end, at the time I was watching episode 4 and it ended, it was a great cliffhanger. But I was also really disappointed at the time, because I kind of saw what direction they were going in. Because the way they end episode 4, what happens in the cliffhanger and the situation the characters are in at the end of episode 4 led me to believe that they're going to kill off Larry for episode 5. And of course, he's my favourite character. There's no way in hell I want to see him die. I really hope he survives the whole entire series. He's so fun. I really love that character. So I'm hoping they keep him around for... Well, actually, it doesn't really matter, does it? Because if they die, they still come back as ghosts anyway, so... I guess I don't mind if they kill him off, but at the time I was really worried that they were going to kill him off in episode 5. And I think he's a really strong and fun character, so of course I was going to be disappointed as hell if they killed him off. So the situation the characters found themselves in, and because of the relation Larry had to Ben and the family, because of what happened in episode 4, I was kind of thinking for episode 5 the only way they're going to continue the story is by killing off Larry in episode 5. So yeah, I was just kind of, while the cliffhanger was pretty suspenseful in that sense, at the same time I was really worrying that they're going to kill off Larry. Oh, fuck. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to come up with I'm just going to spoil the cliffhanger. So at the end of episode 4, we have Violet. She's left in the house alone, and then you have Larry. You know, he's banging on the door aggressively. He's demanding he gets his $1,000, which is pretty entertaining to watch. But so the episode just ends with him banging on the door and Violet inside, and then of course you have the latex guy standing right behind Violet. So she's kind of faced with a dilemma here. You have the latex guy right behind her, and you know what he's capable of because he snapped the guy's neck, the gay guy's neck at the start of the episode. And of course Larry is just batshit insane. So the episode kind of ended there, and because of the way the trailer for the next episode showed things, I was kind of assuming that Larry like broke down the door or something and then kidnapped Violet. So I was under the impression that for episode 5 it would revolve around Ben and Vivian trying to get Violet back off Larry. So I was kind of thinking that Ben would end up killing Larry to get Violet back. So yeah, I was thinking there's no way they can continue the story now, because I was under the impression that Larry had kidnapped Violet at the end of episode 4. But of course, okay, now we're moving on to the review of episode 5. Of course, I was kind of disappointed by the opening to episode 5. I liked it in the sense that it made me confident that they weren't going to kill off Larry yet, at least. I knew they weren't going to kill off Larry after the start of episode 5. Because, so you have episode 4 ending with Larry banging on the door. Of course, like I said, I was under the impression that he kidnapped Violet. So episode 5 would like focus on Ben and Vivian trying to get her back off Larry, and end up killing Larry to get her back. But episode 5, it was kind of anticlimactic how it began, in my opinion. Because, first of all, because episode 4 ends with the latex guy standing right behind her. So you're kind of wondering, you know, oh shit, the latex guy is going to jump out at her or something. And of course, while you have the latex guy to worry about, of course there's Larry as well. But instead, just episode 5, it just begins with, well, Violet in the situation, and then all of a sudden the latex guy just disappears, so him appearing there at the end of episode 4 was completely pointless. And then Violet just kind of runs back into another room and Larry just stops banging on the door. I thought that was kind of anticlimactic. So Larry just kind of gives up and walks away, I guess. And then the latex guy behind Violet just disappears. So that's the resolution to the cliffhanger. Of course, you have the cliffhanger to do with Hayden because she returns as a ghost. And that's resolved fine. The way they handled that was fine. But I'm talking about the situation with Violet, the latex guy, and Larry. I thought it was kind of anticlimactic how the problems kind of just disappeared on their own. So, but I also liked it in a sense that because Larry disappeared and did not kidnap Violet, it was great that that happened, because how else would they resolve Larry's storyline without killing him off if he tried to kidnap Violet, you know? So it's good in that sense, but it was really anticlimactic at the same time. So that's my first point in episode 5. Don't get me wrong, I know I've kind of criticised the episode so far, but we always focus on the negative points, mostly, of things. But it's still a great episode, so let's go on to the next point. Oh yeah, Larry appeared a lot more in this episode than the other episodes. For example, in episode 4, he only had 2 scenes at the very end, and when he's trick-or-treating demanding, you know, the $1,000. Which we still don't know why he wants them. My theory is that maybe that he owes a loan shark or something $1,000, or maybe he just wants it for the hell of it. I don't see why. I mean, he has a brain tumor or whatever. So what? I don't know. Maybe he just wants it just for the hell of it, you know. I'm not quite sure why he wants that. I guess he just wants it for the sake of it. Maybe I'm thinking too much into that. But yeah, Larry was great in this episode. We got to see a lot more of him, more of his crazier side. While in the first few episodes he was kind of, although he was clearly insane, well, I wouldn't say insane, he was pretty crazy in the first few episodes with the way he spoke. And even after episode 3 where he bashed the pregnant woman's face in with the shovel and killed her, even though he did that, he was kind of doing a good thing by killing her, because he was making Ben's life a lot easier, of course. So Larry is kind of good, although clearly a bit nuts. But episode 5 kind of escalated the character, so now you know he's not crazy, he's just batshit insane, because he just flat out tried to murder everyone in episode 5. Although I still like the character, I still find him likable. He's so edgy and he's kind of like the Joker. You know how the edginess of the Joker and how unpredictable he is? That's basically what Larry's kind of like. And I do like those kind of characters. I mean, who doesn't? They're always fun to watch. So I still like Larry, despite him trying to kill everyone. The acting, as usual, was fine. The guy who played Tatum did a good job. He has some important scenes to the story arc in this episode. I mean, we're starting to learn a bit more about him, and it turns out, or at least it seems, that he's responsible for the school shootings and the fantasies he's had about killing people in the first episode. It looks like they're not fantasies but suppressed memories. But of course now I'm left with the questions, why hasn't he been caught? Why hasn't he been arrested? Or maybe he's a ghost, but because of the things he did in episode 5, I'm kind of starting to think that he's not a ghost and he's actually human. So I'm really confused about that, but obviously I'm assuming eventually they'll reveal everything, because of course it's being kept a mystery for now. But yeah, the Tatum character is really interesting. The guy who played him did a great job. Don't know the actor's name. And this is the first moment of bad acting I can think of in the whole entire series of this point. The girl who plays Hayden, don't know her name, but in this episode she returns as a ghost that haunts Ben. And that's really weird as well. Of course, they're leaving things as a mystery, but Ben is like, he's working with Hayden, even though he killed her when she was human, and now she's a ghost. So he was kind of working with her to help her kill Ben. I don't know, it's just really confusing at this moment. But of course it's all supposed to be a mystery, so I guess we'll find out later. But that's getting really confusing but interesting at the same point, so I'm looking forward to seeing how they resolve all these unanswered things. Tatum was great, like I said. Oh yeah, so back to the bad acting. Hayden, the actress who played her did fine, you know, but there was one point in the episode, it was one particular scene, I think it's when she's holding Vivian at knife point. That particular scene, I don't think she did a good job, the actress. Just a minor complaint, but I don't mind. It was still a great episode. Okay, next point. Yeah, back to Tatum. So we're starting to learn more about his backstory. In that one scene where he's being hunted down by the people he killed, or at least it seems like that he killed these guys, I think the makeup on his victims was pretty good. Well, actually, the makeup wasn't anything special. I mean, it's just a few people with like gunshots to the head, for the most part. But then you have the one guy with glasses where his jaw has kind of been... It's hard to describe, but if you've seen the episode, you know what I'm talking about. But the guy's jaw is kind of like busted inwards. It's kind of hanging off and his teeth are like sprouting out everywhere. I think they did a good job with the makeup. The makeup on that guy is great. His jaw's just kind of like... It's kind of unhinged and just hanging off. I just think they did a great job with the makeup on that part, so kudos to them for doing that part, you know. Great job. Next point. Right, so they're starting to reveal quite a lot, although they've got quite a bit more to answer. However, they're revealing what's kind of the main part of the show, which is kind of basically how the house works, because it seems to kind of operates on some sort of set of rules or something. it's kind of vague with the rules, but they kind of hinted at what the ghosts need in order to go to heaven or hell, wherever they're supposed to be going. They kind of hinted at it vaguely, kind of showed you what's going on with them. And so my theory is that, because the way they were speaking to Tatum, it seems that they need their killer to confess that they murdered them. And then if the murderer does that, they can continue, well, onto heaven or hell or wherever they're supposed to be going. And it also seems that they have to be in the house when the sun goes up. When the sun goes up, they have to go back to the house. So I guess they can go out of the house at night. But then the mythology behind the Halloween episode implied they could only leave the house on Halloween. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Yeah, actually, okay, that makes sense, because that episode was Halloween Part 2. Okay, that makes sense. It was still Halloween. So they could, I guess they can leave if it's Halloween. Which it was still Halloween. Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. So there's only one time a year where they can leave the house, which is Halloween. Or at least it seems like that. But it seems in order for the spirit or whatever to be freed, they have to get a murderer to confess to murdering them. I guess it's something like that. It's something about them having to get someone to confess something. Because Hayden wasn't interested in the fact that Larry killed her. She seemed more interested in getting Ben to confess about Boston. So the rules of the house, they kind of hinted at them, but vaguely, so I guess I have a few theories on them. But to be honest, this confession thing, that the idea seems to be that if someone confesses about whatever the person is pissed off about, they go free and go to heaven or hell, or move on from the spirit world. To be honest, that's kind of lame. I don't really like that aspect. It doesn't piss me off a lot, but I guess I can live with it. But I'm not particularly fond of that aspect. That was kind of a letdown. But of course, I may be completely off here. I may be completely wrong. Just a theory, and I don't really like that angle. But it's nothing that's going to ruin the show for me. I still like the show. But yeah, that's what I thought about them revealing a bit more about the rules of the house. Yeah, let's just call them that, the rules of the house. And that's pretty much it about the episode. Of course, you have another plot twist, if you can call it that, about Tatum's character and Constance's character. That was really interesting. So, in the next episode, for the trailer for the next episode, you get to see the SWAT team bust into the house and they're holding Tatum at gunpoint. That looks interesting. Can't wait to see that scene. But I don't think they're going to kill Tatum off. He's too much of a strong character, I would say, to kill him off. But yeah, that's pretty much what I thought of the episode. Yeah, there's just one last thing, actually. This isn't really an opinion, like what I thought about the episode. It's just something which I was confused by. Because at the end, Larry, he's walking around the house pouring petrol, or gasoline for you Americans, but he's walking around the place pouring petrol everywhere. And then of course he gets out his lighter and he's going to burn the place down, I guess. But then the gay guy appears and he's just like, what do you think you're doing to my house? And then Larry kind of just stops and stares at him and looks a bit scared. And then it kind of just cut away. This kind of happened towards the end of the episode, but after that we never ever saw Larry ever again. So what kind of happened there? Was it down to bad editing? Did I miss something? Did they forget the film? Well, obviously they couldn't have forgotten something as big as that. I guess they might explain it in the next episode. Maybe Larry just left without burning down the house. Like, I don't know. But I just felt that scene kind of felt a bit out of place and a bit weird, or maybe unfinished. Because you just see Larry pouring petrol everywhere. Then the gay guy comes in and just goes, "What do you think you're doing to my home?" And then the scene just ends right there. And there's no mention of Larry or the gay guy ever again. I guess they'll resolve that in episode 6. Or maybe maybe Larry just left. I don't know. I just felt as if that scene was kind of unfinished and a bit weird. Yeah, that's what I thought about it. Despite, of course, I bitched about a few flaws there, but of course we always focus on the more negative points rather than the good points most of the time. Don't get me wrong, still a great episode. Can't wait till the next episode. It looks fun. We're getting more into the pregnancy part of the plot as well. It looks fun. But yeah, that's what I thought of the episode. Leave now. I'm going to quickly discuss a few spoilerish things, so leave now if you don't want any spoilers. Okay, so the really sad moment I was referring to in episode 4 was of course the moment where, I keep forgetting her name, Addie. Addie died when she got hit by the car. Just her talking about wanting to be a pretty girl for Halloween and then getting hit by the car later on when she's trick-or-treating. That was really depressing. And we got some great acting from Constance as well. They just did a really good job at making the characters seem more human and getting you as the audience to sympathise with them. They did a great job, so kudos to the writer and the actors and the director, everyone. They done a great job, especially after what the mother did in episode 3 with the mirrors. I mean, she seemed like a bit of a bitch, but after episode 4 and 5, you do feel sorry for her. The writers do a good job with this show with the characters. Of course, sometimes the supporting characters are they're stronger than the actual main characters. So you know you got some great writers when you got the supporting cast being more interesting than the main cast. Actually, that might be a bad thing. Not necessarily. Anyway, let's move on. Final point. I was really surprised that Ben left Vivian at the very end, because she says something like, I think in episode 3 or 4, she says something like, "If you lie to me again, we're over." So she said that, and then of course Hayden's ghost gets Vivian to find out about the truth behind Ben going to Boston, and then she just flat out tells Ben to leave, and Ben just leaves. And that's how the episode ended. I thought that was great. I'm very, very confident that Ben is returning at some point. I mean, of course, Vivian and Ben will make up at some point. There's no way in hell Ben's going to leave the show. I'm sure they'll get back together at some point. But I was kind of surprised that he left in this episode. But of course, obviously he's in the next episode. But it's just a matter of when he's going to get back with Vivian. That should be interesting. But I was surprised that she actually kicked him out. So here's my question. What is her job? He's the psychiatrist. What is her profession? As far as my memory goes, or maybe I just missed something, she doesn't have a job. And they are both in enough financial trouble as there is, because they're having trouble paying the bills. So if she's left in the house alone, how the hell is she going to pay for the house? She doesn't have a job, or at least it doesn't seem like it. This is the same problem I had with that film, Repo Man or Repo Man. Not the Darren Bousman one, not the musical one, but the action film one with that black guy and you know the guy who's in a bunch of films but you never remember his name. You know, Cotton Weary from Scream 1, 2 and 3. He was in Hitler, Rise of Evil. He was in Salt, the bad guy in Salt. I can't remember his name, but that character, like, you know Repo Man, the action film, not the Dan Lynn Bousman directed one. That film had the same flaw. The wife kicks the guy out the house. How is she paying for the house? Because he clearly gets paid a lot of money for going around killing people to get their organs back for the company. So how does she afford such a huge house like that? And the guy is clearly wealthy, so how could he not pay for the organs? I had one big... That's the problem I had with that film. So with American Horror Story here, it's kind of a similar note. As far as I know, she doesn't have a job. Ben and Vivian were having enough money problems as there is, so how does she afford to pay for the house if Ben's been kicked out? That doesn't really make much sense. But I guess maybe Ben's just leaving for a few days until Vivian calms down, I guess. But yeah, that's what I thought of the episode. And that's pretty much the review part. Now I've just got to bitch about something. I've had something spoiled for me about the TV show. Because America is a few episodes ahead, I think they're on episode 10 now. Of course, us in the UK, we've just watched episode 5, so now we've got the 6th one on Monday. I sure hope that series 2 is played in America at the same time it is played in the UK, because it's kind of difficult avoiding spoilers. And I go on bloodydisgusting.com. If you don't know what that is, that's a website where it's basically a bunch of horror news, horror films, horror video games, horror TV shows, all things horror. They just post updates to films or video games and stuff on their front page, like new trailer for Saw 7 has been released, stuff like that. So if you're interested in horror stuff, they kind of do updates on films and, you know, all that shit if you want to get updates on horror themed stuff, I guess. Because I go on there quite often, I was kind of pissed because they spoiled something. It's not as if they had an article where you could click on it and in the title they said, "Warning, spoilers in this post. Do not click here unless you want this episode spoiled for you." They didn't even have that. On the front page they had a picture which just spoiled an episode for me. I wasn't happy. Let's say, I don't know what episode this happens in, but the picture is pretty spoiler worthy and I'm pretty pissed off when I saw it. I've calmed down now, but I'm still pretty irritated by that. Basically, if you know, I'm just describing the ground rules for you here if you haven't seen the show. Basically, throughout the whole entire show, there's a guy in a latex suit which keeps popping up. Kind of see it. At first, I was thinking maybe he's a ghost, but now I know the identity of the latex guy. Now I know who the latex guy is. I don't think he is a ghost because the character, I don't think the character is a ghost, especially after what happened in episode 5. I'm pretty sure he's alive. So now I've got a million questions, such as now I know who the latex guy is. Why did he drown the gay guy and snap his neck? Why is he popping up around the house so much? Why didn't he attack Violet? You know, I've got so many questions. But I'm still pretty annoyed that I know who the latex guy is. But what they didn't do a spoiler warning. They just said, it was something like review of episode 8. And then below that they had a picture. This is on the front page, so there's no way to avoid this if you visit the website regularly like I do. So the picture is just of the character in the latex suit without the mask, so you can see their face. And I wasn't happy about it. So now I've had that spoiled for me. Thanks a lot, bloodydisgusting.com. Like, it's not as if it's my fault either. They just posted it on the front page with no warning. I'm just really, I'm kind of annoyed by that. Well, what can you do? I've had it spoiled for me now, so whatever. At the same time, although I've had it spoiled for me, it still raises a million questions because I want to know why this character is in the latex suit. Why did he kill the gay guy? So I still have a bunch of questions, which of course hopefully will be resolved. So, although I know who the guy is, who is in the latex suit, it's still interesting because now I have something to kind of think about. Like, why is that character in the latex suit? It's interesting in that sense now, but I was still kind of peed off at bloodydisgusting.com, and of course I jumped straight into the comment section and started bitching to them. I wasn't happy about that, but yeah, still looking forward to the next episode, and that's it. And yeah, that's it. That's gonna be the end. So episode 4 and 5, great. Still liking the show. Of course, there's a few aspects which I kind of talked about which were kind of negative, but I don't want to just say the same things in every review like, oh, the acting's great, the story's great. They're revealing new things every scene, because they did do that. In every single scene, something new happened, or you're finding out something new about the characters or the story, or something important happened. So I'm trying not to repeat myself here. So great acting, you know, great directing. The way it's styled is great. They're showing something new in every scene. The story is progressing very quickly. The characters are fun. I don't want to repeat myself every time, so I'm kind of focusing on the negative aspects. But yeah, the episode still had all that stuff which I usually say. I'm just throwing in what was different about it, which were a few bad points. But yeah, it was still awesome. So that's my thoughts. This is really the end of the review. So thanks for watching. Bye.